Hello folks, today I'm talking of a generalized topic here. It's not specific to any faculty or any board like that. So the topic reads, representation of forces by proper vectors. Vectors means arrows. Arrows when a body falls through or ascends in a medium with opposing forces. So it means there could be viscous forces, there could be drag forces, and also upthrust. So we have to show every possible forces there when the body rises or falls. Let us first consider the body falling through certain medium here. So let us first consider the falling mechanism here. So what happens is initially when you allow a body to just be like this, at that time the velocity is 0. So velocity 0 means that there are no opposing forces, because the opposing forces depend on the velocity. More the velocity, more the force. Less the velocity, less the force. And also if no velocity, no force. So what happens here is, if I just let it be like this, at that time we have got the force of gravity there, and we have got a slight upthrust there. Let us say this is the force of upthrust. Now as it goes on falling, the opposing force increases. Whereas these two remain constant, because it is the weight which is constant, and it's the upthrust which is equal to weight of the fluid displaced. Since it is inside that fluid, it remains constant. So after some time, what happens is the weight is same, the force of gravity is same. So I'll try to make it as equal as possible. So this Fu is same, this Fu will also be same, but we now have this drag force here, this drag force or F opposing, that will start to show its face. So this is Fu and this is Fo. So as it falls and falls and falls, what happens is this Fo goes on increasing, until it reaches terminal velocity. So when it reaches the terminal velocity, after that the velocity is constant, which means that Fo becomes constant. So as it reaches terminal velocity, what happens here is we have this Fg here. Fg is constant, Fg constant. This Fu also constant. So I'll try to make it as equal as possible. Also constant, and this Fo reaches its maximum value. So this Fo will be like this. So the arrow is so long that its length plus its length should be equal to the length of Fg. Its length plus its length should be equal to length of Fg, and this is the maximum length of Fo that can be reached. So let me just calculate here. So this length here, this length, when we add this into this, it becomes somewhat like this, and this almost equal here. So this is the maximum length of F opposing, like this. So it is in the beginning. So this is the beginning case. In the very beginning, it's like this. In the midway it is like this, and when it reaches the terminal velocity, it is somewhat like this. Now here what I have is F opposing equal to 0. This Fg is larger than Fu plus F opposing. Here we have this Fg is larger than Fu plus F opposing. And here we have this Fg is equal to Fu plus F opposing. And what is happening here is, here we have got Fg is the largest force, then it is followed by this F opposing, and then it is followed by F upthrust. But in this case what I have is Fg is the largest, but what could happen is, for example, here we have got Fg is the largest, it is followed by F upthrust, and then followed by this F opposing. Initially it's like this, but later on what happens is, when it reaches terminal velocity or somewhere in midway, what happens is this Fo will be exceeding the F upthrust. Initially upthrust is more than opposing force, drag forces or viscous forces, but later on these drag forces and viscous forces will be more than the upthrust, giving us this sort of relationship. So here we have known three things. One is according to vectors, one is according to simple algebra here, simple algebra, and the other is that we are comparing each of the two forces, each of the three forces, regarding which one is the biggest and which one is the smallest. So in somewhere here, Fg always biggest, Fu bigger during the initial stages, and Fo bigger in the final stage, in the final stages. Now if the same thing will be, if I extend the same thing during the rise of the body, for example, air bubble rising through water or oil, let us say we can say water globule rising through glycerin, or let us say, or oil, let us say. So in such cases the equation will reverse, because at that time what happens here is we have got large upthrust force. So in the very beginning what happens is the upthrust force is very large. Let us say this is the upthrust force here, this is Fu, then we have got its force of gravity, its weight will be very less, so that's why Fg will be very less, and here we have got no F opposing because it's in the very beginning. So it is the very beginning condition. In the very beginning it's not moving, so F opposing is 0. Later on, midway, what happens is as it rises slightly, this F opposing, F upthrust is always there. So let me make the same arrow length here, somewhat like this. This is the arrow length from here to here, arrow length here. So this is the F upthrust, Fg is still there, same length. And what happens here is, since it is now going upward, this opposing force will be acting downward. So this will be the F opposing. So this is the F opposing. Let me draw it like this. This is F opposing. So it has started to grow. So it is somewhere in the midway. Now later, when this thing reaches the terminal velocity, F upthrust is still there, its value is constant. So from here to here, almost same. Fg is still there, which is constant again. This is again constant Fg, and F opposing has now grown into a larger value. So this will be F opposing, and its length will be such that, so if I add this into this, it becomes like this. So it will be should be. So this on this. So this added to this should be equal to this. So it's equal to, this is F opposing here, this is F upthrust here. So in this case, what happens here is, it is when it attains the terminal velocity. So in this case, I must have F upthrust should be equal to Fg plus Fo. F upthrust should be equal to Fg plus Fo. In this case, I have got Fu equal to Fu is more than Fg plus Fo. Here also we have Fu is more than Fg plus Fo, but here it is equal. And here what happens is, this F upthrust is more than then Fo more than Fg. And here we have got F upthrust is more than Fg, and this is more than this Fo. And in the midway, this F opposing and force of gravity switch their rankings. So here Fg is more and here Fo is more. So here during rise, the phenomenon is slightly different, which we have shown in this manner. So why I am addressing this question is, it is generally in each exam, in our paper 1, 2 and 1.3, at least one of the papers contain question related to this, either this relationship, or this comparison, or even this vector thing. So that's why I got a lot of requests, and I thought to deal with this question as well. So I don't have any specific year or specific brand, specific variant question. So it will be useful for all, including people of A level or +2 or anything else. Anybody who have just passed class 10 and who are going on to the undergrads. So these relationships show, these diagrams show the relationship between these three forces here.